Welcome to the Real Life Wellness Podcast, the show where we explore how to create your own wellness. We dive into everything that happens on the journey to a happier, healthier, and more balanced life. I'm your host, Faith Lauterbach. As a registered nurse and a holistic wellness coach, I have a passion for empowering people to create a vision for their life, prioritize themselves, and then live the life they want. So get ready to discover new ways to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Let's embark on this journey together and make wellness simple. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Real Life Wellness with me, Faith. This is a podcast where we dive deep into how to live your healthiest life from a holistic perspective. And today we're in episode 18, and we're talking about balancing wellness in a busy life. So many of us struggle with how to do this, how to balance wellness when life already feels overwhelming and busy. I know firsthand how hectic life can be between work, family, social commitments, and just everyday responsibilities. Wellness can feel like maybe another item to check off, another item on an already crowded to-do list. But here's the thing. Wellness isn't something you need to add to your life. It's something that you can weave into the flow of your day in small, intentional ways. So in today's episode, I'm going to share some practical tips, mindset shifts, and routines to help you maintain your wellness, even when life is in full swing. Are you ready for that? All right, let's get started. So starting kind of with a check-in on mindset and your thought on what wellness means to you. Often we think it has to mean hours at the gym, meal prepping these big, elaborate, healthy, perfect dishes, or maybe finding time for an hour-long meditation practice. But here is the truth. Wellness is about balance, not perfection. And so give yourself permission to let go of this need for a perfectly curated wellness experience for it to mean something, because it's these everyday, consistent, small habits that mean the most. So for my first tip, we're going to talk about how to break wellness into small habits. Because if we don't have things that are easy to do, again, it's going to just feel like a task that's impossible to complete. And I want to make wellness simple for your everyday life. So one of the best ways to incorporate wellness into this busy life that we're leading is to break it into small, manageable habits. So let's go over some examples about what that might look like. The first one is thinking about just taking 5 minutes in the morning to breathe deeply and set an intention for your day. And if that sounds like not something that would be helpful for you, think about what else you could do for just 5 minutes. Maybe it's writing down your calendar for the day. Maybe it's checking in with your spouse. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's coloring in a coloring book. But taking 5 minutes to just be present, be with yourself, can make a big difference. Another way to do that in a small, manageable habit is choose just one nutrient-packed meal each day. Even if the others aren't perfect, start focusing on one. And a really great way to make eating a nutrient-dense meal easy is by just building a clean plate. So that's looking at your plate, halving it. One half is all veggies. A fourth of it is protein, and a fourth of it is carbs. That's a super simple way to make sure that you're getting a nutrient-dense, protein-packed meal. So try that for just one meal a day. Start there. All right. Another way to build a small, manageable habit is to take the stairs instead of the elevator, or park farther away from your destination to sneak in some extra movement. These small choices add up over time and is a great way to start without it feeling overwhelming. It's really about making wellness in your already everyday choices, not these big, elaborate extra things. And what's great about these is you can build on them. Once these habits are feeling like second nature to you, it's time to evaluate and see, how is this feeling? And maybe there's more that I want to add in. Maybe it's adding another nutrient-packed meal to your day, or maybe it's taking a couple 5-minute breaks throughout the day to be intentional. So these can be something that you add to continue building your wellness routine. All right. So tip number 2 is going to be prioritize movement in microbursts. All right. That's kind of a tricky phrase to say, movements in microbursts. But you don't need the solid hour at the gym to reap the benefits of movement. So think about small microbursts throughout the day that add up to bigger time, more time than you're currently spending on moving. So it could look like a 10-minute stretch between meetings. Maybe you set an alarm to go off every hour to get up and walk around for just a minute. Taking a walk after lunch. Maybe it's doing a dance session with your kids when they get home from school. But finding ways to move your body regularly for small amounts of time help reduce stress, improve your mood, and boost your energy levels. And again, it's about how do we weave these things into our already busy day that's also providing us with these crucial things that our body needs. All right. Tip number 3 is going to be to simplify nutrition. So we talked a little bit in that first tip about some ways to do that, but I want to spend a little bit more time here with nutrition because nutrition is such an important piece of our health and wellness. And when life gets hectic, we all do this, right? We grab the things that are easy. The problem is those aren't usually the healthiest options. But if you simplify nutrition without sacrificing wellness, that's the key. So finding ways to do that. And so I'm going to give you a few tips on what that looks like. So a lot of times it's about just taking a little bit of time beforehand to plan ahead. So keep a stash of quick macro-balanced snacks that you can carry with you. So it could be things like nuts and fruit. Maybe it's veggies and hummus. Maybe it's a clean protein bar or a already made protein drink that you check the ingredients first and make sure you're not getting a bunch of junk in there. But those can be really easy ways that you can balance out feeling hungry and not grabbing a candy bar. Also, how about batch cooking some simple ingredients that you can put together throughout the week to grab and go healthy meal options? So maybe it's batch cooking a bunch of protein, veggies, and some carbs. That way you have super easy ways to put together a healthy lunch or healthy dinner without spending a bunch of time in the kitchen. All right, another tip for simplifying nutrition is making sure you're getting in enough water. Most healthy people need about half of their weight in ounces of water. So for example, if you weigh 150 pounds, You want to make sure that you're getting about 75 ounces of water every day. Now, everybody, if you have a more specific need, check with your doctor, check with a medical provider for your specific needs. That is a general guideline for how much water your body needs to be functioning properly. Again, adding more if you're doing extra movement and things like that. But sticking with that, starting there, making sure you're drinking plenty of water. It's going to help, first of all, hydrate you so that your body is working the way it's supposed to. But secondly, sometimes we feel hungry when really we are just not hydrating properly. So we can help make sure that our snacking isn't due to something like really being thirsty. So simplifying doesn't mean sacrificing. It's really about making things easy and accessible for you. All right. So tip number 4 is going to be practice mindfulness in the gaps. So mindfulness is really about just being present, being here and now. Our minds not being on things we're regretting from yesterday or worries we have for the future, but being here. And our world is not set up to do that. Our world, we are kind of inundated with always multitasking. And so again, this takes practice and consistency, but it doesn't have to be long 1-hour meditation sessions for us to get there. Really, the most impactful moments are when you can, again, weave these things into your day. So it can look like this: taking a few deep breaths before answering your phone or responding to an email. Another way is to do a quick body scan when you're standing in line at the grocery store. So starting up at the top of your head, think about like your thoughts, where are they at? Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, just moving down your entire body until you get to your toes, just being mindful about how it feels and trying to just bring a little bit of relaxation to each of those muscle groups as you go. Another tip is, at the end of the day, reflect on one thing that went well. That helps us be more in tune with what's going well throughout our day when we know at the end of the day we're going to be thinking about what went well. It's really easy to come up with the things that didn't go well. So taking that time to be intentional about what went well can help bring more peace to your day. Take time to eat at least one meal a day without distractions. It's very easy for us to grab our lunch and to eat behind our computer or while we're checking email or while we're scrolling on social media. It takes our attention away from our food, and it can lead to overeating. It can lead to mindlessly eating, and it can lead to just not being connected with our food. So take time to eat at least one meal a day without those distractions. And then also, while waiting for someone or something, instead of grabbing your phone, which is kind of that go-to most of us all do, try a quick grounding exercise. So name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, 2 things that you feel, and 1 thing that you can taste. So engaging those senses is always going to help bring us into the moment. So these mindful moments can really help ground you into the present and start getting us into the practice of just being here, being right where we are and not being in the past or the future. All right. Our last tip around how to balance wellness with a busy life is going to be to set boundaries and protect your time. Really, one of the most powerful ways to balance your wellness with a busy life is setting boundaries. A way that I practice this personally is pausing before I say yes. In the past, I have been say yes to everything. If somebody needs my help, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Oh sure, I can do that. And what happens when I do that, or when I've done that, is just overwhelm. So instead of my initial yes to everything, I say, let me look at my schedule and get back to you. This simple pause helps me be intentional about my actions and make sure that what I'm doing is aligned with my values. So I really do look at my calendar and I think about, if I say yes to this, what does that mean I'm going to say no to? And I just see if it's something that I really, really want to do, or if it's something that I'm, saying yes to just to please somebody else. Some other ways that you could do this might look like carving out 10 minutes in the morning for yourself, turning off notifications after a certain hour. Protecting your energy and time is essential to staying well. If you're always available to everybody else's needs and wants, then it's not leaving any time or space for you. That saying is true. You can't pour from an empty cup. So give yourself permission to fill your cup by prioritizing your health, even in these little small intentional moments throughout the day. All right, so let's recap what we went over to balance wellness with a busy life. So the first thing was embracing small, manageable habits. The second was moving your body in microbursts. The third is simplifying your nutrition. The fourth is practicing mindfulness in the everyday. And number 5 is setting boundaries that protect your energy and your time. Remember, wellness isn't an extra thing to add to your life or add to your to-do list. It's something that you could integrate into what you're already doing. Start small, be kind to yourself, and know that even the littlest steps make a big difference. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Real Life Wellness Podcast. I hope these tips empower you to care for yourself, even when life feels busy. Until next time, be well. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Real Life Wellness Podcast. To stay updated on my latest episodes and wellness insights, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow me on social media. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore, feel free to reach out. I love hearing from you. If you could, please review or rate this podcast on Apple or Spotify to help more people learn how to make wellness simple.